We don't really want to cause any controversy, or maybe we do, but when you really think about it, Avatar Kyoshi was probably the best Avatar ever. When you look at the facts and compare their personalities and actions, it's really not hard to see why Avatar Kyoshi, the 7-foot-tall wonder from the Earth Kingdom, is way better than Aang, Korra, and even Roku. From her ability to deliver justice without hesitation to her overall badass nature, Kyoshi has proven herself to be one of the most decisive, powerful, and world-saving avatars in existence, especially in contrast to some of the flaws we saw in Aang, Korra, and Roku. So what exactly is it that makes Kyoshi better? Let's dig into all the reasons why this avatar kicks butt. In order to dive into what made Kyoshi one of the greatest, if not the greatest avatars in history, we have to learn a bit about her. The Kyoshi novels tell us quite a bit about the 7-foot-tall avatar's origins. She was born the daughter of Jessa and Hark, founders of the Flying Opera Company, a gang of thieves disguised as a traveling theater troupe. When she was young, her parents left her in the care of a villager in Yokoya Port, where she was quickly abandoned and forced to live on the streets, eventually coming into the care of air nomad Kelsang, who believed she might be the Avatar. However, an earthbender by the name of Yun was later falsely identified as the Avatar for years, as Kyoshi acted as one of his attendants. Eventually, Kyoshi was revealed to be the true Avatar, going on to bring balance to a world torn by war, corruption, and injustice. Gathering her signature look out of the golden fans and theater makeup her parents left her, the robes provided to her by a former ally turned enemy, and gloves given to her after a lightning-based battle left her with burned, scarred hands. As you can tell, Kyoshi went through incredible hardship, coming out of it much stronger while also proving herself as a powerful earthbender before even realizing she was the Avatar and could bend the other elements. The Kyoshi novels also tell us of her sense of justice, a concept explored in Avatar The Last Airbender in a flashback of her, as well as the wisdom she gave to Aang in the final episodes. Through these nuggets of lore and story information concerning Kyoshi, we can compare her actions to the avatars that came after her, and in this comparison, Kyoshi could easily come out on top. In order to fully determine if Kyoshi and her effects on the world make her the superior avatar in the most recent cycle, we have to take a closer look at the actions of Kyoshi, Roku, Aang, and Korra. How did they change the world for the better? Could they have done a better job in each other's shoes? Would Kyoshi blow all of her successors out of the water with both her strong sense of justice and impressive bending prowess? We're going to take a look using all the knowledge from the Avatar comics, the novels, the original series, and the Legend of Korra to form the ultimate showdown between the last 4 avatars. So just who do you think is the best avatar? Some might think it's Aang or Korra, but once you take a look at the facts, you just might agree that it's the 7-foot-tall badass bender known as Avatar Kyoshi. Aang accomplished a lot as the Avatar, there's no denying that. He mastered all 4 elements in under a year, he took down the Fire Lord, ended the Fire Nation's 100-year war, and brought peace back to the world. These are amazing accomplishments, especially for a kid as young as Aang was, but there's just one problem. The 100-year war might not have happened if Aang hadn't run away from his responsibilities to begin with. As most know, after finding out he was the Avatar, Aang went through a period of doubts and fears, and in the episode The Storm, we learned he ran away when the Fire Nation came for the Air Temple. Aang felt guilt over leaving the nomads to be destroyed by the Fire Nation, as well as abandoning the world for 100 years, during which the Fire Nation attacked, sparking the backstory of the series. Now, we're not saying that Aang, who had only known airbending at the time, would be a match for the Fire Nation army, but it says something that Aang decided to run and freeze himself rather than seek out bending masters and stop the Fire Nation before the war could get worse. Additionally, we all know that Aang is hesitant to enact justice. Yes, he discovered energy bending, allowing him to take away Fire Lord Ozai's bending, bringing a non-violent end to his reign. But there is something to be said about his hesitation to show the Fire Nation that their actions are unjust. Now, we won't get into the deeper philosophical conversation of this all, but compare Aang to Kyoshi. She didn't hesitate to end someone's life if they showed no signs of ending their evil deeds. Specifically, when it came to Chin the Conqueror, Kyoshi admitted to ending his life. Or rather, she felt no remorse for indirectly doing so, even going so far as to say that she would directly do the deed if need be. Her reason? Only justice will bring peace. There it is, laid out straight and in a no-nonsense way. Kyoshi didn't hesitate to serve justice however it needed to be served to establish or maintain peace. Now let's jump through time to compare Kyoshi's Avatar sense of justice to that of Avatar Roku, the Fire Nation predecessor to Aang. In the third season of Avatar: The Last Airbender, we learned that Avatar Roku was the best friend of Fire Lord Sozin, and the two were incredibly close both before and after his time away training to master all four elements. Unfortunately, this changed when Sozin began coming up with plans for what would eventually become the Fire Nation's rise to power, colonization, and overall attempts for world domination. So what did Roku do? What was the response of the Avatar, Keeper of Peace, and the most powerful bender in the world? Nothing. He did nothing. Well, he did do something. He ignored it. First, out of respect for his friendship with Sozin, and later just to retire to look after a small island village and not have to worry about the world's problems. Yes, Roku not only ignored the signs of his friend becoming a tyrant, he actively stepped away from being the Avatar when he could have stopped the rise of the Fire Nation. Real good move there, Roku. Now compare this to Kyoshi. She saw hints that Chin the Conqueror was on the way to being a world-class dictator tyrant, and she ended his reign once and for all. Now maybe Roku didn't need to end Sozin, but he should have put his foot down more firmly instead of choosing not to be a part of Sozin's plans and walking away, letting Sozin continue with his actions. If Kyoshi was in Roku's position, she would have absolutely kicked Sozin's butt for even considering invading the other nations. Heck, some fans have discussed and even joked at how Kyoshi was probably waiting for Roku in the afterlife so she could give him a good beating for being so passive towards Sozin's imperialistic plans. We're not sure if spirits can feel pain in the afterlife, but Kyoshi probably made sure Roku felt her wrath when they met in the spirit world. Now we come to Korra, a great avatar for a lot of reasons, but her decisiveness is definitely not one of them. She was hesitant about nearly every major decision, fight, and confrontation in her career as Avatar, whereas when Kyoshi saw a problem, she solved it. Heck, even when Korra did make decisions hard and fast, they were often hard-headed decisions derived from her impulsive desire to go looking for a fight. In this regard, Kyoshi and Korra are somewhat similar, but Kyoshi was faster at making decisions and didn't specifically go looking for a fight. She just didn't run away from confrontation, where Korra had been kinda wishy-washy with her actions throughout the Legend of Korra. Suffice it to say that Kyoshi comes out on top once again, her decisiveness and dealing out of justice making her the superior avatar. Oh, and did we forget to mention that Kyoshi also happened to learn the secret to increasing her lifespan, which is how she ended up living to 230 years old? How is that not the coolest thing an avatar has done? Now, fair is fair, so we have to look at Kyoshi through a critical lens, and she definitely has her own flaws. For one thing, the novels depict Kyoshi's life as being full of betrayal, disappointment, and tragedy, meaning it's not far-fetched to consider that Kyoshi was untrusting towards just about anyone, meaning her so-called quick and decisive sense of justice could have just been a metaphorical trigger finger, possibly making her something of an overzealous judge, jury, and executioner. We only know so much about Kyoshi to know if this is the case, but add to this her stubborn nature, seen when she imparts wisdom upon Aang that translates to go against your pacifist nature and end a life, and it's entirely possible that Kyoshi was exactly the kind of tyrant she would seek to rid the world of, acting on her possibly wrong or quick judgment with a finality that others might deem dictatorial. Something else to consider is that Kyoshi is also something of a set piece. Not to say that she wasn't a fully fleshed out character, she eventually got her due with the Kyoshi novels. But before those novels came out, Kyoshi was meant to be a piece of lore rather than a full character with flaws and faults. This is to say that the point of her character was to be an example of a great avatar to give Aang a foil, a past life to compare himself to. In other words, she was kind of meant to be flawless, so at the end of the day, comparing other avatars to her doesn't really work. Additionally, Korra works so well as a character specifically because she struggles with tough decisions and has human flaws. She might not be as effective an avatar, but she's an effective character. That said, if we entertain the comparison where every avatar after her failed, she succeeded in spades. Roku failed to recognize a tyrant in the making, and when he did, he just turned the other way because of a friendship that had long since soured. Meanwhile, Kyoshi saw Chin the Conqueror's potential as a tyrant and nipped that nonsense in the bud. Later down the line, Aang would find that his pacifist nature has ramifications, and even defeating the Fire Lord didn't end the world's problems, as we saw both in the Legend of Korra and in the supplemental comics. Compare him to Kyoshi and they're in totally different leagues. Finally, there's Korra, who took her role as a neutral party in conflicts too seriously, her indecisiveness being just one of her faults, one that Kyoshi not only lacked but had the complete opposite of. both. But like we said, the comparison kind of falls apart when you think about Kyoshi's purpose in the lore and story of Avatar. So take all these with a grain of salt. It's just fun to discuss the pros and cons of every Avatar style, amongst which Kyoshi's badass style definitely comes out on top. So what do you think? Was Kyoshi the best Avatar? Do you think she would have stopped Sozin's rise? Would she do better than Aang or Korra in their significantly smaller shoes? Let us know in the comments, and be sure to subscribe to CBR for more Avatar videos like this one.